Well, welcome everybody back to the Flying Doghouse. We're at Wake Island. This is World War II scenery. It's available on Flightsim.to. It's been out there for several years. It's held up to the shelf life. It's very, very well done. And a perfect setting for us to take a look at the Catalina PBY. It's another piece of freeware. It's not available on Flightsim.to, but I'll put a link in the description below so we can all have a look. Let's get going. All right, folks. So, Simworthy Shakedown. We're going to take a look at a piece of freeware that's been out there for a bit. It has not been updated in a considerable amount of time. However, it doesn't make it any less charming. Number of different liveries and options available to the aircraft, including a firefighting variant of the PBY. But we're at Wake Island, so we're appropriately addressed for the occasion, I guess. So much like the video that we did with the Ford Trimotor, we're going to have a fly and just enjoy the experience of the airplane here. Talk about a few things that you're going to want to do. And then we'll come back and we'll do a cold and dark video, and we'll start this one up from cold and dark. It's a little bit temperamental too in terms of getting it started, but again, it's worth the fun if you're up to the challenge. So there we go. So let's have a fly, shall we? Back in the sim. It's about 6:30 here in the morning on Wake Island. And we're going to leave the time set for this for a bit. The scenery here is quite charming. And once we land again, we'll have a look at the airfield. Let's go. If you're not new to the channel, you know that I like quirky, and this is definitely a quirky one. I love the Stitch from Lilo and Stitch from Disney in the cockpit. So I guess that's an immersion breaker, but it's quite funny. So we'll let that be. All right, so let's run the engines up. And we'll take the park and brake off here in just a second. One of the things you're going to want to do, much like the Ford Trimotor, you're going to want to create your own custom camera views. So I have done so. So this is how I have mine set up. So Alt 1 is my default from the pilot seat. Alt 2 and 3 are going to give you left and right views. 4 is going to put you to the main instrument panel. 5 is to the middle so that you have access to switches, and the modern avionics is located in the middle, and you can also monitor temperatures here as well. So let's 6 will take us up so that we can view the prop and throttle settings here. 7 takes us behind for the fuel gauges, and also the mixture is at the top of the ceiling. 8 and 9 I have set up for the bubbles in the back of the aircraft, just to be able to move around. And we'll go back to the pilot seat. Now, what do you get for camera views in terms of the default aircraft? So here we go. So here's Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, Control 4, Control 5, Control 6, Control 7, Control 8, Control 9, and then Control 0 takes you back to the blister. Anyway, my camera settings are simply a serving suggestion. They're easy to set up, and Microsoft Flight Sim, plenty of videos out there in terms of how do you do that. Alright, so we've let the engine sit way too long on high idle. Well, let's go ahead and roll. Plane is perfectly charming to fly. and it also has its quirks. It's also an amphibious aircraft here, so there are some considerations in terms of operating engines and getting slowed down. Again, really the key to success, I think, for landing this particular aircraft is bleeding off enough airspeed, particularly on the water landings. Let's jump outside. So as I mentioned, this is right after sunrise here at Wake. And I'll change time of day here using flow in just a minute. It just looks great. For an older ported model, I don't think we can ask for much more for free. Obviously the textures in the aircraft are a bit dated, but that's okay. Alt 2 here. So I do have live weather on here at Wake. A little bit of altitude here for us. Yeah, let's mix turn here. We're just going to take a little tour of the island. Back on the RPM. And the throttle here. Alright, let's pop it over into flow. Change time of day here so that we can take a look at the handiwork of this scenery. Alright, let's get that out of our way. And we'll slow down here. We'll buzz the airfield. One of my favorite pieces of scenery here are the water towers. They're just totally charming. They're old and rusty. Troop transport over here to our left. So definitely capable of both sea landing and also on a hard or rest strip. One of the interesting things about this PBY is that the right engine is also powering the hydraulics. So when we get to the cold and dark video that we'll do next, we'll need to make sure that we start that engine first. Again, this airfield is decked out in period correct World War II splendor, and again, the scenery is available over on Flightsim.to. Lots of cool things here. Corrugated metal huts, revetments built for the aircraft, which we're coming up onto right now. What an interesting scatter here and about. At any rate, if you enjoy this period scenery, this is a great place to have a fly, particularly in an old warbird. And you can tell that the developer has done a lot of work on this. Again, this has not been updated in quite some time either. But it is absolutely totally charming. Alright, so we've got our speed well managed here. Let's go ahead and drop our gear. And we'll make our way back around to the airfield. Here's our seaplane moorage hangar. There's a couple sitting on the ground here. Channel markers, taxiway markers, I guess, for the PBYs. Alright, jump back here in the cockpit. Spend a little bit more time here aviating here. Get ourselves set up for landing success. Yeah, it's a remarkably stable old bird. Come right over the top of this LST. The water tower. Alright, get ourselves slowed down here. Flaps not included. Alright. Make sure we make a nice landing here for Stitch. Stitch watching us. I love a little bit of whimsy. Set her down here nice and gentle. We've got plenty of wide runway here, so we'll taxi over here to this other water tower. Get ourselves load up here with the brakes. Continue our taxi maneuver. Let's jump outside. I very much enjoy this airfield. The USS Hornet is located just offshore here. And a piece of scenery that's included with this. And we'll taxi over here. Let's see what these folks are over here doing. Those load up. I think we've got some Dauntless dive bombers over here. All right, put park brake on. I hope you enjoyed that. It's very well modeled for an older plane. I mean, look at the texturing. This is Miss Pickup. This is a relatively famous PBY. I had my facts straight here. I believe that Miss Pickup is at Duxford in the UK at the Air Museum there. So at any rate, I'm gonna put a link to the site in France to be able to download this particular freeware. The author of this does have a published user ID and password for download to keep people from just deep linking onto the site. So type in that ID and password, and it'll get you the airplane. There's also a significant amount of documentation included as well. But we'll take a peek. We'll take a peek at that at a more in-depth dive of the plane. But thought this might be fun today. So, is it Simworthy? Absolutely. Is it going to be a daily flyer? Probably not. And doing some research around this particular aircraft, looks like this one was very, very popular in FSX. And not much movement in terms of bringing it back into 2020 or 2024, other than this port over. But we'll see what the future holds with this. Again, it's a lot of fun. It's quirky fun, and that's what we're all about here at the Flying Doghouse. Hope everybody's keeping well. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Share this with your sim neighbors. Love to have you along for the journey. Take care. Cheers, y'all.